Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with some more news and politics. This is for Monday, August the 12th, 2024. It has been a while since I've done any of these news and politics episodes, so yeah. We'll try to make this one as brief as I can get it to be. Anyway, let's start off with some interesting space news. The current distances of expected interstellar space probes from the sun along an x-axis, so I split it up into a gallery view. Now, here is Mars. That means Earth is like here. Now, with that said, going from fairly close to the sun out into interstellar space, which is beyond our solar system. Let's take a look at it here. 5 space probes have entered or are expected to enter interstellar space. How far away are they at this moment? So, within the actual solar system, this covers Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and you can still see, we don't see any of them, just the paths, these 5 lines. There is the outer planets. You can see Pluto, the former planet. These are like in the far edge. Now, this is New Horizons. Get my shirt out from under my butt. Was launched in 2006 and performed a flyby Pluto in 2015. It's our most recent, so it's just reaching the outer limits of our solar system. Here, further, the, what is it, the Oort cloud? Because I think the Kuiper belt is further in. I think the Oort cloud is the outside edge. But yeah, nothing to see here. Most of the other solar system is empty space. Rocks, junk, yeah. Couple of the far exoplanets. But still, we have 4 other probes that have gone beyond this point. Now, Pioneer 11, launched in 1973 and performed the first Saturn flyby in 1979. It contains a copy of the Pioneer plaque. So yeah, that's where it is. It's on the outer edge of our solar system. Now we're getting to the really interesting stuff, because just further is Pioneer 10 and Voyager 2. Pioneer 10, launched in 1972, was the first spacecraft to traverse the asteroid belt and encounter Jupiter. So yeah, the first spacecraft to pass that asteroid belt. I think it's called the Kuiper belt. It's between Mars and Jupiter. It's a series of it's well, like it says, it's almost like a belt of asteroids. But it passed that field and made it out towards Jupiter. Little further beyond it is Voyager 2, which launched in 1977. It is the only spacecraft to have visited Uranus and Neptune, and it overtook Pioneer 10 in 2023, so just last year. Even though Pioneer 10 was released earlier, Voyager 2 finally caught up to it. But they still have yet to catch up to the furthest probe we have, which is way beyond. It is already outside our solar system. Voyager 1, launched in 1977, it crossed the heliopause in 2012, becoming the first spacecraft to enter interstellar space. In 2036, it will move out of range of the Deep Space Network, but will likely lose too much power to even communicate by 2030. So we're about to see the end of its ability to communicate back to Earth. It already takes a good period of time to get the signals back and forth, as is, so yeah. But that is our furthest spacecraft. It is beyond our own solar system. And yeah. Even though it's the only one we have beyond it, it's still only a peek at what we have in between the different solar systems of our galaxy. Because remember, it's still in the Milky Way galaxy. We're just one galaxy among millions, billions of other galaxies in the universe. Because each galaxy has several star systems. So yeah, just to make you feel real tiny and see how little we have explored. Anyway, next up we got some pictures. This is Xi Jinping, aged 9-year-old, right there, that young boy, with his younger brother and their father in 1962. This is Xi, the current leader of China, Xi Jinping. Let's look at some more historical photographs. This is women's archery in the 1908 Summer Olympics in London. Yeah, archery uniforms for women in 1908. They were still expected to dress like respectable ladies. Martin Luther King Jr. removing a burned cross from his lawn. The boy beside him is his own son. So yeah, this is what they had to put up with. A cross on his lawn, set alight as a symbol of, to push fear Yeah. It's not that long ago that this stupidity existed. And finally, Charles Rigolo, I'm probably butchering the name where it's French, was a French weightlifter, wrestler, racing driver, actor, and resistance member who punched out a Nazi, went to jail for it, bent the cell bars, escaped, and then set the others free after promptly beating the hell out of another Nazi. So, yeah, French strongman who truly was anti fascist. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You were against the Nazis in World War II, you were Antifa. If you don't like that, maybe you need to analyze what they've been telling you. This is from the University of California, Berkeley News. Scientists find oceans of water on Mars. It's just too deep to tap. Yeah, so it turns out, yeah, there is water on Mars. Or rather, under Mars. So, yeah, it's just, they're deep, deep aquifers. The new analysis of Mars' interior suggests that much of the liquid water still exists in the pores of rocks 10 to 20 kilometers below the surface. So, yeah. Using seismic activity in to probe the interior of Mars, geophysicists have found evidence for a large underground reservoir of liquid water, enough to fill oceans on the planet's surface. Now, we figured there had to be water because there was already footage from the rovers and stuff that would show it's almost like a leak out of water would come up to the surface. But it never would be enough to produce ponds or lakes or oceans. And now it's like, yeah, there is definitely water under the surface. The data from NASA's InSight lander allowed the scientists to estimate that the amount of groundwater could cover the entire planet to a depth of between 1 and 2 kilometers, or about a mile. So yeah, there's a lot of water under the ground. That's the good news for those tracking the fate of water on the planet after its oceans disappeared more than 3 billion years ago. The reservoir won't be of much use to anyone trying to tap into it to supply a future Mars colony. It's located in tiny cracks and pores of rock in the middle of the Martian crust, between 11.5 and 20 kilometers, or 7 to 13 miles below the surface. Even on Earth, drilling that deep would be a challenge. The finding does pinpoint another promising place to look for life on Mars. However, if the reservoir can be accessed. For the moment, it helps answer questions about the geological history of the planet. So yeah, turns out we have definitive proof there are oceans under the surface. Now, this is the next thing. This is from ProPublica. The government spends millions to open grocery stores in food deserts. The real test is their survival. In Cairo, Illinois, more than 100 people congregated in the parking lot of Rise Community Market on its opening day a little over a year ago. As they listened to celebratory speeches, the audience erupted into joyful exclamations. Mercy, wonderful, wow, all right. Colorful homemade signs raised by local leaders beckoned the crowd to join in. We are no longer a food desert. For most American cities, the opening of a new grocery store barely warrants a mention. But in Cairo, the government seat of Illinois' poorest county and the fastest shrinking one in America, business openings are rare. And for residents who for years had to travel long distances to buy food, it was a magical moment. Access to healthy foods and fresh produce is not just about groceries, it's about justice, declared Juliana Stratton, Illinois' lieutenant governor, to the cheering crowd that gathered in Illinois' southernmost city. Cairo, she said, had set the stage for what was to come as Illinois embarked on its new grocery store initiative, a $30 million endeavor to build and sustain new food businesses in distressed small towns and urban neighborhoods. Stratton had assisted Cairo leaders in securing state funds from another source because Rise came before the launch of the grocery program, and she told the crowd it would have to serve as a beacon. I want you to know, Cairo, Illinois, this is only the beginning and you are leading the way. Within months, however, the store fell on hard times. Rise struggled to compete with national chains on pricing and then faced additional challenges when a walk-in cooler broke a few months later, making it impossible to keep perishables on the shelves between orders. Although sales were initially strong, they slumped as residents fell back into old shopping patterns, patronizing the two nearby Dollar General stores or traveling to Walmart and other supermarkets at least 30 miles outside of town. As fewer customers came in, the store had less money to restock its most popular items. Shelves grew emptier. Clarissa Dossie, a cashier at Rise since its opening, said that during the worst months, people would come in, look around, and say, "Dang, where the groceries at?" By December, 6 months after it opened, Rise was in peril. over the past decade, state and federal governments have invested millions of dollars in creating grocery stores and food deserts, defined by the U.S. Department of Agriculture as any low-income urban neighborhood without a grocery store within a mile and any rural communities without one within 10 miles. These programs continue to expand. Established in 2041 during Barack Obama's presidency, the Healthy Food Financing Initiative marked the federal government's first coordinated effort to tackle the grocery gap. Since then, Congress has allocated an average of $28 million annually across 3 federal agencies responsible for its administration. Then in 2021, the program received an unprecedented funding surge to $183 million, boosted by the federal pandemic recovery funds to the USDA. In addition to Illinois, numerous states, including Pennsylvania, New York, California, Ohio, Minnesota, and Kansas, have implemented programs of their own, as has several municipalities, including New Orleans and Houston. So, yeah. This is something I would love to see work. Fuck Walmart. Fuck Kroger. Fuck these goddamn giant-ass companies that bought out an area, and then when there was no more competition and they felt there wasn't enough money being made, they left communities in the lurch. Fuck those motherfuckers. Fuck them. This is why I absolutely despise if I have to go to Walmart. I do my damnedest to avoid that place. I can't stand it. We've got one small grocery store in my town. I do like supporting a regional chain, which is in each of the towns on either side, because it started in the area, not in this town or county, but I think it was the next county over it started, and it expanded. So I'm happy to support the regional chain, but you also have to push what you can into your hometown businesses. Like I said, we have one grocery store. It's a small little thing. It rarely has all you need, but it does have things you need, and they're available. It's a little IGA store, International Grocery Association, I think is what the acronym is. But it's a bunch of smaller stores. But yeah, we have that. We have 1, 2, 3 gas stations. Post office. The necessities, if you will. Restaurants in town and just outside of town. As far as national restaurants, we have a Subway and That's it as far as the national restaurants. We have a regional restaurant, part of a regional chain, Pizza Plus. Um, let's see. And then we have individual local businesses. Robo's. It's a stand where you can get burgers, fries, milkshakes, hot dogs, banana splits, uh, just different foods. It's that kind of place. Onion rings, uh, what have you. Just different types of desserts and casual foods, burgers, fries, like I've already said. So we have that. It's very, very popular. We have Crooked Road Barbecue a little further down the road from it. Again, its own place. It survives. It's. I hear it. A lot of people don't want to go because it's more expensive than they prefer. But the food is supposed to be really good. So it's one place I'd love to try out. Um, let's see, if you go the other ways, there's, I think it's just called Vonda's. It's a little single restaurant in a former bank because all the other banks have closed. We used to have a Rite Aid. Rite Aid closed, and it's an ice cream place now. We used to have a pharmacy where I would get my medicine. I was happy to get it in town. Of course, it closed down. But, yeah. Like I said, there's things here, but you're not looking to spend a night out around town. You're not going to be able to do that. That's why around here a lot of people are, let's cook out, or let's get us some beer and just hang out, whatever, man. That's because there's so little. As I said, you can go on either town on the other side. They do a little better. I mean, they're still not doing hugely great, but they're doing better. We're just struggling. Even though we're the oldest town in the county, there's one town who wants us out, wants us deorganized because we're the oldest town, because their name is the same name as the county. And they want to be able to claim they're the great town. No, we're the oldest town, bitch. Get over it. Fucking shit. Besides, your name wasn't even originally that name. It was named something else for the longest time, motherfuckers. Get over yourself. We were here first. Get over it. The population has been here since the early 1800s. The town itself was founded in like 1850 something. Yeah. But we've lost the high school that we once had. And like I'm saying, we lose a lot of foods, a lot of businesses. So I understand the feeling of, you know, things being like a food desert. And as I was saying when I started this whole tirade here, fuck Walmart. Fuck Kroger. Fuck these big motherfuckers who come in and act like, oh, we're so bad, we're gonna knock all these others out of the way. And then when there's not enough fucking money, you fucking leave, you cocksuckers. Fuck you. So yes, support your local businesses. Fuck the big ones. But yeah, the concept appears straightforward. Use government funds to help build stores, shorten uh, the trek for fresh food, and in the process make people healthier and bolster the local economy. In distressed communities, grocery stores have been shown to anchor business development, help grow the tax base, and even boost home values, according to one study of Pennsylvania's program. The converse is also true. Without the grocery store, communities just have a really hard time succeeding economically, said Christopher Jones, a senior vice president with the National Grocers Association. But the way Rise Community Market has struggled in Cairo illustrates how these programs fall short. Because what happens after a store opens is just as important. And despite the upfront financial investments, that hasn't been solved at all. Many stores that receive subsidies shutter their doors soon after opening or fail to open at all. Capital News, Illinois, and ProPublica examined 24 states or stores across 18 states, each of them either newly established, preparing to open in, or less than 5 years old, when they received funding through the federal USDA Healthy Food Financing Initiative in 2020 and 2021. As of June, 5 of these stores had already ceased operations. Another 6 have yet to open, citing a variety of challenges, including difficulties finding a suitable location and limited access to capital. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of these food deserts struggle because the populations aren't always big at all. And you aren't going to have huge incomes or swaths of income from customers. Yeah. Fuck Walmarts. Fuck Kroger's. And all these other nationwide chains who come in and basically stomp out any local businesses. That's the same goes for fucking Walgreens and CVS's. They've closed down a lot of the local pharmacies in favor of themselves. Fuck them. Fuck them. But yeah, I'll end this article here. I'll be attaching it at in the description box as always. But yeah, um, I understand how it is. We grow our own crops here. A lot of the people do. It's just the way it is. Um, because you can't depend on being able to purchase everything. It's just a sad fact. But yeah. Anyway, on to the next here. U.S. beefs up posture in Middle East, warns an Iran-backed attack on Israel could come this week. Well, if we didn't keep giving them money and weapons so they could commit genocide, maybe this is something wouldn't have to fucking worry about. Fuck you, Austin. Fuck you, Biden. Fuck you, Blinken. And fuck any other members of the goddamn administration who help implement and assist in this fucking genocide. Fuck you, fucker. This is from The Guardian. Thousands of Serbians protest in Belgrade against a lithium mine. Controversial mining project is a political fault line in the Balkan country over fears about environmental impacts. Thousands hit the street in Serbia's capital Belgrade Saturday to protest against the rebooting of a controversial lithium mine set to serve as a vital source of power, or source to power Europe's green energy transition. Before the rally, two leading protest figures said they were briefly detained by security officials who vowed that any moves to block roads during the protest would be viewed as illegal. Thousands chanted, "Rio Tinto, get out of Serbia," and "You won't dig," as they rallied in downtown Belgrade before setting off a march through the city. Protesters later entered Belgrade's main railway station, where demonstrators blocked tracks, halting traffic. Serbia has vast lithium deposits near the western city of Loznica, where a mining project being developed by the Anglo-Australian mining company Rio Tinto has been a perennial political fault line in the Balkan country in recent years over the potential environmental impacts. The deposits were discovered in 2004, but weeks of mass protest forced the government to halt the project in 2022. So yes, even though it's meant for green energy, unfortunately, trying to get everything together is not always clean. Because, yeah, lithium, with any mining situation, there can always be unfortunate effects, shall we say. Yeah. But, from the Independent, young liberal voters love Tim Walz. He's a reminder of the dad they lost to partisan division. Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz embodies everything liberal women see in their own fathers, except for their political views. For some, it makes them hopeful, but also very sad. He's got jokes, enthusiasm, and a smiley face that's not even remotely trying to hide how he's feeling. He's Tim Walz, and he's bringing major Midwestern dad energy to the Democratic ticket. At least that's how many white women feel when they see Walz in videos citing or riding the slingshot at the state fair with his daughter, signing legislation to give kids in Minnesota free lunches, or tweeting about his pet cat. He's in stark contrast to what some see in their own fathers, too often have more conservative political views. He is silly. My dad used to be very, very silly and goofy. Pamela Vitrini, a woman who recently compared Walz to her father, said in a viral TikTok video, "My dad is really friendly. He loves people." Social media was user Lydia said, "Except when he goes to the voting booth." Yeah. Trump helped only further this divide, making it a toxic issue in America. Walz is like the dads they lost. He's a wonderful guy. He's there for the people. He seems like a normal person. So yeah, all these attempts to smear him by the right wing keep falling to the wayside. He's a good guy. You're going to have to do better than, "Oh, he was in the National Guard and left before his group shipped out." Well, it turns out he had already signed to retire before that even happened. So, try again, bitch. And then Tampon Tim, I'd rather him sign bills to have schools put tampons in bathrooms, at least to try to help, students who are going through the changes of life. He didn't say put it in boys' bathrooms, but that may have happened. But I'm still glad he is at least trying to help students, trying to make their lives better. Whereas your fucking candidates want to force no-fault divorce, want to ban it, forcing women to stay in loveless marriages, wanting to ban abortion. Yeah, y'all can go and fuck yourselves. You see how y'all's views are evil. And they're like, no, he's more like the dad I no longer have. So yeah, go fuck yourselves when you are trying to smear Walz. You're going to have to do better than what you've done, because right now, y'all ain't done shit. Y'all a bunch of little fucking bitches at this point. Try again. It's ridiculous. I love Walz. I've seen nothing the right wing try that actually sticks. Even as they try to boost Couch Fucker and Bone Spurs Donnie. Anyway, from Yahoo. Russia complained that its peaceful people don't deserve to be invaded. Did Ukraine deserve to be invaded? Now that they've switched tactics and went at you, you're like, oh, this isn't right. Motherfucker, you started the shit. You started this goddamn shit. And now that they're invading you, you're like, oh, they're attacking all poor, peaceful people. Motherfucker! You invaded them, cocksucker! God damn. All you had to do is sit down and talk. But no, you wanted to be a little goddamn bitch. I need not say a goddamn thing more. Because, yeah, that says it all right there. From Bloomberg. Putin cuts off governor who admitted Ukraine advancing on Russia. Putin demands the Russian army drive out the Ukrainian incursion. Ukraine's Serskil says army holds 1,000 square kilometers of Russia. Did you think it was going to forever be you just holding territory, that they would never push in on you? It shows how goddamn stupid Putin is to seriously believe they weren't going to dare incur into Russia. It's ego, as clear as a goddamn bell. I don't even need to read this anymore. This is from Haaretz. The Last Chance Summit for an Israel-Hamas deal. The U.S. is increasing its deployment in the Middle East, while the Israeli military is putting renewed pressure on Yahya Sinwar, and the far right sets its sights on a new target within the military. It's why you should never trust far right politics. They're psychopaths, motherfucker. You just look back at goddamn history, it's clear as a fucking bell. Far right is psychopaths. Lunatics. A battle for time is taking place in the Middle East. The U.S. has set up a summit meeting in Doha, Qatar's capital, on Thursday in an almost last-ditch attempt to advance a hostage deal between Hamas and Israel. What you need to do is go in and smack Bibi's head through a goddamn table. The motherfucker needs to shut his goddamn mouth because he's such an ass, such a goddamn bitch, and he needs his head put through a fucking table. Sign! Sign! Sign, motherfucker! That's what you need to do. Instead of going, Bibi, please be gentle. Motherfucker! Go in there and backhand him. Put his head through a goddamn table. And then pick him up and put his head through a goddamn wall. You need to stop coddling this cocksucker. Seriously. Anyway, let's watch some videos. Palestinian civilian Ibrahim Salim was released last week after nearly 8 months held hostage in Israel's detention center, Sde Temon, described by Israeli human rights groups, but B'Tselem as a torture camp. Salem describes the sexual torture committed by both male and female Israeli Defense Force soldiers, IDF soldiers. So yeah.
عقاب احنا بالنسبه لنا كأسرى هذا عقاب ولا شيء. في عقاب جنسي، في عقاب اكبر من هيك، الضرب اكثر من هيك. هذه بدلنيش فيها زي ما بدلني. الذل اللي انا شفته لما بشلح اوعيه، الذل اللي انا شفته لما انه يحطوا الطرفه في طيزه، الذل اللي انا شفته لما مجند صغيره طلعت تعمل فحش في بشر بايدها. يعني قلت لهم لسه في اكثر. نظام التحرش الجنسي كانوا يسحبوه لحاله، كل واحد لحاله. سمعنا انه واحد انه اغتصبوه، هذه واحنا في سيديه، والله صار وعدنا، والله كل الشباب صار تبست الشباب انهم اغتصبوه رسمي. وفي اطفال اغتصبوا، والله العظيم كان عندنا شاب من الزيتون لما خلتنيش الذاكره رسمي اغتصب. الشاب 15 سنه.
It's just disgusting. You know, many Americans pushed back on the George Bush presidency when they were doing torture in Guantanamo Bay. Prisoners of war. Motherfucker. Both these wars you put us in, Iraq and Afghanistan, had nothing to do with 9/11. Nothing, motherfucker. Afghanistan, we went in because, there's suggestions that he may have been there. Okay, we could have gone in, looked around, nothing. We could have found that out and been in and out in a year. Iraq, there was no fucking reason for going into Iraq. None, motherfucker. Saddam wasn't going to help Bin Laden. They were not buddy-buddy. They were not friends. But the motherfucker bullshitted and bullshitted and bullshitted and bullshitted and bullshitted. Fuck! Goddamn George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Colin Powell, Rumsfeld, all them motherfuckers should have gone to goddamn jail for what they fucking did. It's the same shit going on here. But worse.
من أول دقيقة دخلت الاثنين في ال80 في ال8 شهور، من أول دقيقة لآخر دقيقة كانت كلها هي عذاب ومشقة، ولا دقيقة شفنا راحة مرتاح، فيش نظافة، لا، من أول دقيقة لآخر دقيقة كلها عذاب. كل أمورنا كانت تعذيب. أي حركة أنت بتسويها انت طول ما أنت موجود تتعذب، تتعذب لفظي، تتعذب تحرش، تتعذب مسبات، تتعذب بعذبك عقاب. يعني أسهل عقاب إنه هذا يربطك زي هذا تافه. يعني مثلا أنت عيان تطلب إنه أنا بدي أروح على العيادة، بعد 20 محاولة و30 محاولة وأنت تصيح تقول له بدي أروح على العيادة، بدي أروح على العيادة، بدي أروح على العيادة، وافق. لسه بيجي الجيش ياخذك على العيادة. أنت بتروح على العيادة بدك تشكي من شغلة، يعني عندك مشكلة في الأمعاء، مشكلة منامش هاد، بصير تشكي له إنه أنت ريشك اتكسرت، دمك سال، بس في عملية النقل من ينقلك من المكان اللي أنت فيه على العيادة، ينقلوك 3 بيوصلوك للعيادة، بدك كمان عيادة من كتر الضرب اللي ضربوك إياه والإهانة والمسبات والغلط في الطريق. كان تحقيق، كان عمليات تحقيق صعبة جدا، في بالكهرباء، في بالمكيفات الساقعة، إنه يشلحك كل أواعيك. قصة تشلحك كل أواعيك، وين ما تروح بتشلح أواعيك، هذه مش عقوبة، هذه مش إهانة. المجندات قدام المجندات بشلحك، مجندات تضربنك ويفتشنك. يعني أنا مثلا ما كنتش ألبس الكلوت، كلوت فش كلوت ما لبسوش. ليش؟ عشان أتجنب إن السرعة. لو أنت طولت وأنت بتلبس، يعني بدك تلبس كلوت وبعديها بنطلون، هو ضربك، غير الضرب اللي هو بضربك إياه بزيد. أنا عشان أتجنبها كنت أسرع في اللبس. الحساسات يخبوك أماكن حساسة، الحساسات دي تحتاج التفتيش، تكون حديدة قد طولها، هيك طولها الحديدة، فتش عند ما بصير أماكن حساسة بضربك فيها. لدرجة إنه بصيرش بلزقها لزقات، صار يلزق عندي زي هيك، صرت أرجع، صار يصعقني بالكهرباء، إيدي هان من هان يصعقني بالكهرباء، هاد صعقة كهرباء.
Sexual torture, rape, the kind of things that should never be used. In times of war. What purpose does that fucking serve? What does it accomplish you other than demoralization of the opposing side? Hmm? Nah, motherfuckers who do those kind of things should be held accountable. But we see what happens when Israel even tries to push a little bit of military discipline. There's riots from fucking Israelis who are angry because their soldiers are not being allowed to torture with impunity. Fuck Israel. This is what makes you want to say no more as a goddamn country. You don't hate on a people, but god damn, it makes hard to show any care or love for them when they do this kind of thing. They cry and whine and bitch and toss the anti-Semitism bullshit out there over and over and over again. Anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism. Oh, you're being anti-Semitic. No, motherfucker. I am caring about goddamn life, which you don't. Fuck you. Go kiss my fucking ass. Anyway, we'll go to the next video here. I know this has still got 2.5 minutes, but you get the point. Yeah. Protesters in Norway, Oslo, are subjected to assault. This is Palestinian Israel protest over the way Gaza has been done. I guarantee you this man's very much a pro-Israel fellow, and he feels he has the right to beat up these kids.
Bare i dag, jeg kan gjøre det. Ja, det er et problem. Ja, men det er folkemord som pågår, så da må
Stans norsk-delaktighet!
Stans norsk-delaktighet!
Gjør mer sanksjoner!
Gjør mer sanksjoner!
Gjør mer sanksjoner!
Gjør mer sanksjoner!
Stans norsk-delaktighet!
Stans norsk-delaktighet!
Stans
Politicians in our government who call themselves solidarists because they recognize
Yeah. It's, peaceful protest. There is no violence by them. None. None. But they're still treated like criminals. Even in the U.S., where supposedly we have the First Amendment, which grants freedom of speech to assemble, in protest. Even when they're not being violent, even when they're, expressing their right, they're still told they're criminals. Fuck you, motherfuckers. Fuck fuckers like goddamn DeSantis. Like any other motherfucker who's like, well, these protesters need to be locked up. Fuck you, you need your head through a goddamn wall, motherfucker. Yeah, this guy was a former Trump supporter and explains why he no longer is. I think it's very good to listen to.
So another question that I get as an ex-Trump supporter, ex-conservative, is, Danny, what made you change? And I wish I could say that there was this burning bush moment or this aha moment, but in reality, it was a culmination of things, seeds that were planted, and then finally it just clicked. I would need to write a whole book to explain my life's journey, but for the sake of time in this video, I'll do a quick synopsis. So I went from college to professional baseball to 10 years in the Florida Department of Corrections. And while in prison, I met a man by the name of Rashawn Clark. Rashawn was 16 when he was sentenced to prison for 20 years. I, on the other hand, had been to prison, home, back to prison for a total of 14 felonies and a total sentence of 10 years. Now, Rashawn was a black Muslim and I was a white Christian conservative. And this was at the height of the Black Lives Matters movement and when Trump was campaigning for president. And in typical conservative fashion, I would run around telling all the black guys in prison that Trump would be the best thing for them, that Trump is the best thing for the black community. And I would be met with resistance. Trump doesn't care about us. Trump does not care about the black community. He's a self-serving billionaire who cares about no one but himself.
Precisely. I try to point this out. He was born with the silver spoon in his mouth. Motherfucker don't know nothing about the struggles and lives of others. All he cares about is himself. Others proclaim, oh, he's such a passionate motherfucker. Why are you goddamn so stupid? How do you not understand that he's so self-interested? Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
And I would tell Rashawn that we can't blame anybody but ourselves for why we are in prison. These are the consequences to our actions. Stop being the victim and accept accountability for our choices. And what Rashawn said next was probably the first seed that was planted that ultimately started me on this journey. He said, when you got sentenced to prison, the judge looked at you as the all-American boy who just lost his way, needed some mental health and substance abuse help, but they seen you as being redeemable. He said, I, on the other hand, at the age of 16, was sentenced to 20 years. They looked at me as a thug, a savage, a predator, and my life was not worthy of redemption. In spite of the Department of Justice, Juvenile Justice, recommending that he get a program, they sentenced him to 20 years in prison instead as a juvenile. And Rashawn would always say to me, DC, you underestimate me. And he was right. Because in my arrogance, I looked at myself as the smartest person in the room. I'm in prison, I'm college educated. Most of these people in here don't even have a GED. So Rashawn recommended that I read Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. And after I read it, a light bulb went off, my life was forever changed, and that's what started me on this movement. And this is what I learned, and I saw it with my own two eyes. So in the United States of America, the 13th Amendment said the abolishment of slavery except when punishment for a crime. Before this time period, the only people that went to prison were white vagabonds, outcasts, poor white people. But slave labor was such an integral part of the Southern economy that without it, the economy would collapse. So they needed new slave labor. That's why they started the mass incarceration prison boom. Fast forward 100 years, you had Jim Crow segregation, where black people were relegated to second-class citizenship. They were still seen as subhuman. Black Americans faced disenfranchisement from voting. They had to pay a poll tax. They had to pass literacy exams, but nobody wanted to educate them. And they were robbed of their generational wealth. Black Americans also faced barriers to education, to employment, and to housing. They could literally be discriminated against based on their skin color, based on their race. Then we passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, 1965 Voting Rights Act, which says we can no longer discriminate based on skin color or based on race. So in 2024, what's the only group of people that we can still legally discriminate against? That we can deny housing, that we can deny jobs, that we can deny access to education?
Criminals.
If you answered correctly, it's convicted felons. Now, do you think it's a coincidence that 1 in 3 black males carry a convicted felon label? 1 in 6 Latino males, and 1 in 17 white males. So either I think it's a coincidence, or I think black people are inherently evil with the proclivity to commit crime. And I couldn't go for that. So I did more research, and I found out that Nixon and Reagan created the war on drugs. I see that we created the school-to-prison pipeline. We defunded education while militarizing the police, which patrols predominantly the black community. Then we coined terms like super predator and black on black crime. And once again, right here in the United States of America, we were spinning a narrative that made black Americans seem subhuman. And in my humble opinion, our criminal justice system is the epicenter of systemic racism in the US. It's because it's where we can just label somebody a criminal and justify our inhumanity towards that person. And as Rashawn said, there's a two-tiered justice system in America, and we're seeing it now more than ever. One for wealthy white billionaires like Trump, who can walk the streets with 34 felony convictions while being liable for an essay of E. Jean Carroll. And then there's one for people like Rashawn, who spent 20 years of his life behind that fence. But it's impossible to get to this level of understanding without actually putting in the work. And this is why I encourage so many white Americans to actually just do the work. This country is not going backwards. We are not going back. It's only forward from here.
Thank you. It makes me smile when people realize Trump is not this savior. He's not this great answer. No. He is just a further symptom. If you watched my videos, I pointed out America never has been this great land. It's one of the reasons I hate the phrase, make America great again. When was it great? For whom? When? For whom? How was it great? For whom? Please. Further illuminate us if you feel America was so great. Let us know for whom it was great. When it was great. Why? Because guess what, motherfucker? As much as you want to proclaim these things, I can show you just as much evil committed in those times that you profess are the great American times. Not really, motherfucker. Not really. So yeah, it makes me happy when they understand, oh shit. Alright. Pause. This is a call from Sonya Massey's mother. Before the shooting at Begg Police. Please don't send combative policemen that are prejudiced. They will kill her. You know, this ties back with the last video. We know that many black people teach their children to act a certain way around police. Because you can't trust police. The motherfuckers would just as soon shoot someone in the head than do the fucking right thing. But let's watch this.
She's being sporadic, and I don't want you guys to hurt her, please. Don't.
Okay, ma'am, I've got some questions I've got to ask you. Does she have a weapon?
Okay. No.
Helps on the way.
Thank you, and please don't send no combative policemen that are prejudiced, please.
Okay, well, that would be none of them, ma'am. They just do their job, okay?
No, they're all... they're scary. I'm scared of the police. Please
Okay,
do
there's nothing to be fearful of, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes they make the serious bit worse.
Harrowing, newly released recordings in the deadly police shooting of Sonya Massey. She's the Illinois woman killed by a sheriff's deputy earlier this month after calling for help about a possible prowler at her home. The recordings obtained by CBS News include a 911 call from Massey's mother pleading for non-combative officers to be sent to her daughter's home. CBS's Charlie DeMar now with the disturbing new developments. We do want to warn you, the video report is disturbing.
There needs to be a national reform on the way police are trained. Because right now, they all just automatically reach for that fucking gun. 99% of the time, that's not necessary, motherfucker.
I heard somebody outside.
911 calls and dispatch audio are giving the fullest look yet at what happened to Sonya Massey on July 5th and 6th. Records appear to show she was experiencing a prolonged mental health episode. Her mother, Donna, called for help.
The mental people told me to call 911.
That was at 9:09 a.m., 16 hours before she was shot.
Please don't send no combative policemen that are prejudiced, please. They're scary. I'm scared of the police. Sometimes they make the serious bit worse.
Then Massey herself called 911 just before 1 p.m. and called again early the next morning after she heard what she thought was a prowler outside her home.
I keep hearing stuff on the outside of my house, and it sounds like somebody was banging on the side of my house. I don't know. Could y'all come and see?
Officer Sean Grayson and his partner were dispatched. The encounter with police escalated quickly. Body cam video clearly captured Officer Sean Grayson shooting Massey in her kitchen.
Headshot wounded the female. Headshot wounded the female. Units on scene are 1078 shots fired.
But later, dispatchers can be heard saying they were told Massey died due to a self-inflicted wound.
Yes, self-inflicted wound with a gunshot to the head from her pot of water. Yes, that's what fucking happened. This is what I'm saying. You need a vast retraining of police nationwide. This needs to be a nationwide training. They need to be trained by fucking military personnel so that they are forced and held to the same level of strictness. You should not automatically assume the need for a fucking weapon, motherfucker.
They're now saying self-inflicted.
The Massey family accuses the department of trying to cover up the cause of her death by claiming it was a self-inflicted gunshot.
The Sangamon County Sheriff says former Deputy Sean Grayson admits to the shooting at least twice on body camera video and that there was never any confusion over how Sonia Massey died, and nor the department also denying those claims of a cover-up.
1 second.
Take my turn. We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Let me see. Okay. Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
Rebuke you in the name of
You better. That's where you got straight your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
See? Immediately.
Pot.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Drop. Off. Bring EMS now. We got a headshot wound to the female. Headshot wound to the female. 1078.
How many of these bullshit deaths are we gonna have to have? How many will it goddamn take before there is fucking reform? This is why the Black Lives Matter protest happened in the first goddamn place. You motherfuckers cried and bitched and whined and moaned like the pussies you fucking are. Oh, these protests, they scare me. They're criminal. Well, motherfuckers, if you didn't automatically take the goddamn assumption that they're all fucking criminals, if you didn't lick the goddamn police's ass every time they illegally murdered people, maybe we wouldn't have to fucking worry about it.
I was on. I'm gonna go get my kit. No, headshot, dude. Sure, you done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot.
I hope the motherfucker ends up serving life in jail. He deserves nothing less. It was murder. Pure and simple. It's one of the fucking most open and shut goddamn fucking cases of murder in the fucking world. There is no goddamn way to dispute it. Although the bullshit that is in America's goddamn legal system these days, they probably will. He was defending himself from a woman in a house gown with a pot of water. Goddamn fucking sons of bitches. Clearly, he was just doing his self-duty to defend himself. Motherfucker, I will goddamn fucking hurt you. Don't be violent towards people, but goddamn, it makes me fucking angry. There is so much bullshit, and people get away with it. Fuck the goddamn police. Anyway, that'll be the end of the episode. It's already been an hour and a half. I know I tried to make it, was going to say I was going to make it smaller, but that's just where we ended up. Anyway, as always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.